Hi everyone, and welcome back. Thank you for watching today. Today I'm working on a layout that again is using my Hip Kit from October from the Hip Kit Club. And that's mostly what I'm using right now because, as I've said before, I'm just getting back into doing layouts, and they are one of the clubs that I am a part of. I did have a subscription to another one, canceled it some time ago because I actually still have kits sitting in bags that I haven't even used yet, which I'll be diving into those as soon as I clean up the October kit from Hip Kit and trying to use some of my stash. But I'm working on this layout. This was actually a challenge issued by Hip Kit, and this was using a recipe, actually a recipe for a layout. I think it's pronounced Marinette, and she's on the design team for Hip Kit Club. And so I am creating the layout based on her requirements for the recipe. So part of that was the recipe was to use one photo and 5 buttons, 1 tag, 1 chipboard piece, 4 patterned papers, alphas, and to do hand journaling. So Irit had posted a layout that she had done using the Hip Kit Club. She had done kind of like these flags. It's a little bit different style, and I just love the different flags on the page. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to go off of that and use that for my layout because I did want a lot of bright colors. I'm using a photo of my niece there, and you can see from her clothes she's wearing they're bright, and I just wanted to be a bright, fun layout because she was so excited that she got a medal in track, and so I wanted it to be bright and fun. So the Hip Kit Club for October, the kit had some beautiful papers, which I'm using several of them there, and just bright and colorful. So I decided to just do kind of like a layering, doing a flag effect on those, and cutting them just in random pieces. And I sped it up here a little bit quicker so you didn't have to watch me cut all of those flags and adhere them, and try to just get those down and then continue on with the layout. So I did have that sped up just a little bit faster for you so you didn't have to watch me cut all those triangles out of the paper and everything. So here I'm just trying to place the set the placement of the flags. I didn't want them going outside of the background of the photo, so I'm making sure that it all fits in there. I kind of don't want them to come out exactly from the side. And so now I'm just going to do the paint splatter with the daubers that I did on a previous layout because I wanted a little bit of something, a little bit of interest on that black background. I do love how the color pops on the black background. I love using black for that reason because everything on it just pops. And so I do love how that color does pop. So I wanted to kind of add a little bit of just a little bit more texture with some paint. So I'm doing this splatter technique that I've done before with the paint daubers. And so I'm just getting those primed and applying the water to the top of the dabber so that it can kind of give the splatter effect. And so I'm just going to do that in a few places around the page just to add a little bit of color in other places. And you got to get it, if you don't get it wet enough, it just ends up just around almost like a dot. So I try to really dampen that little dauber so that when you do splatter it, it does kind of give that, you can see the streak effect that it gives. I was trying to use the darker pink, but it just didn't show up very well, so then I went with a lighter pink. And then it was too pink, so then you're going to see me go kind of back over the top of it, trying to get the color that I was wanting to get. And so it worked out, the different layers of color. So that's what I'm doing there. And I'm really like I said, I love the bright colors on this layout. My niece is, I'm so proud of her. She's, gosh, is she 10 now? I lose track because I have several. She's 9 or 10, and this year she was running track, and I borrowed the picture from my sister's Instagram, so she had some words in the bottom corner, and I just wanted to hide it. The recipe called for 1 photo, but I had to use 2 because I had to do the close-up on that photo of her holding her medal, because just the way her hand was positioned in that photo, and she's just holding it with such care. So proud of her because she really had to overcome a lot to even be able to do this. And without going into a lot of detail, I was just super proud of her. And she was so proud of herself. She is such a bright spirit and is so, she just walks to the beat of a different drum. I don't know how to explain it. There's 4 total in her family, 4 children. And she is just so different. She sees the good in every single thing and is just so bright and cheerful and happy all the time. And the smallest things just make her so happy. And so she is such a pleasant girl. And love her to pieces like I do all my kids. But I really wanted this to just be a fun layout for her. And she's so proud of that medal. So certainly wanted to highlight it on a layout because she was so proud to achieve that. And she is quite the runner. The girl's fast. She has more energy than I can even wish you could bottle it up. But she is really quite an athlete. She's actually very fast. And so here I am. I'm just digging through. I had some older chipboard pieces. Now, chipboard didn't come in the kit, but I had some pieces in my stash that I pulled out. And those pieces that you saw, the little ticket, the flowers, and the frame, those are all chipboard. It's from a Pebbles collection that I got maybe, I want to say, a year ago. I looked all over to find the name of the collection, and it's not on the package anywhere. So I don't know the name of it. I do apologize. But it is probably at least a year old. Maybe longer. But they were sad. They're brand new packages, still full. So I thought, well, I'm going to open those up and apply those because the colors were great. And so I went ahead and cutting down that picture just a tad to make sure that it does fit into that chipboard frame because I thought it just really set off that picture of her holding the medal. And I wanted to make sure that that was front and center. And so I'm just getting that applied there. And there we go. It's kind of like I applied the picture in the wrong place. I do love that little spatula. I use it from my silhouette for my mat. And even though the ATG that I use is a very strong adhesive, and so it holds really good. But sometimes you do make mistakes. Sometimes you can pull it up. Other times it sticks pretty good. But I find if I run that spatula under there, it's really great about separating the glue. Sometimes I can do it without even messing up the paper. This case you saw it tear a little bit, but I didn't care because I was covering it up again and got it reapplied in the right position. And so now what I'm doing is I'm going to go ahead and adhere that on the back, and I'm leaving a place at the top open where it's not adhered so that I can slide my tag into the top. I want it, like I said, one of the things in the recipe was handwritten journaling. And here you're going to see me rip that glitter piece. When I pulled it off, I got a little bit too happy and pulled it off. But you can't tell when you put it on. But anyway, the handwritten journaling, I'm going to be tucking that into the top of the photo in just a second. And what I'm going to do now is I wanted to do a little bit of stitching. I am not a seamstress by any means. In fact, my sister's amazing. She can sew anything. My mom is amazing, can sew anything. I did not get that. I have this little toy type sewing machine. It's actually not really a toy, but it's actually pretty handy for sewing on pages. I have a really nice sewing machine, but I don't like to use it for scrapbooking because it's a really nice one. And I don't know why, because I don't sew, but I have a nice sewing machine. But this one is perfect. I like it because it was inexpensive. It's small. I can just pull it off of my shelf, set it over my table. I just want it to run a few stitches here and there. I'm not sewing anything big, but I love the look of sewing on a layout. So I like to have that handy. I don't bother changing the thread. It's kind of like what is in there is what I use, unless it's just blatantly, distracting. But I was able to sew on it, and so I love it. It's just a handy little thing that I can use. And I do always add a little bit of washi on the back, because what I like is it just holds it in place. So sometimes the threads can come unraveled, and so I just put a little bit of washi on tape just to hold washi tape on back, to hold it in place. And then I'm going to go ahead and just add my buttons. I haven't used buttons on a layout in 100 years. I mean, I just am not just don't use a lot of buttons. And I have a ton of buttons way back in the day from when we used to use buttons a lot, but I haven't used them a lot. But that was part of the challenge for the recipe, was to use 5 buttons. So I just tried to find some bright colors in some of the buttons that I had in my stash and added those to it, all along the side where that sewing is. And I'm looking for my Y. If you notice, I lost the Y on my happy because it had tore off. And when I was sewing it, it fell off. And so I'm searching for it now, and I found it on the floor. Thank goodness I noticed it. And so I just stuck it back down. I'm just going to add a little bit of twine to the top of that tag and fuss with that a little bit. And then I'm going to do my date stamp. I'm going to put the stamp at the top of the tag. So that is what you see peeking out behind the photo background, is the date stamp. So that is the date that the photo was taken. And then now I'm just going to do a little bit of hand journaling on the tag, the handwritten journaling, which was, again, part of the challenge. And you know what? I do love to do handwritten journaling. I don't know that anybody ever really loves their handwriting. Sometimes I get going too fast, and mine can get sloppy or whatever, but you know what? That's what it is. It's my handwriting, and I know when I'm looking back at things that my grandmother's written, even my mom, it's like I don't care really, if it's sloppy or what, it's their handwriting, and I think it's something that is so personal that really adds a personal touch on the layout. So I always, I don't mind adding it, even though it may not be the best handwriting. It's mine. And so to me, it's just kind of like that touch, that personal touch that is always going to be there. So that's what it called for in this layout, was handwritten journaling. So I'm doing that. I'm going to tuck that in behind, and this is going to pretty well wrap up the layout. We'll have some still pictures for you at the end, some close-ups, and again, I just want to thank you so much for tuning in and watching the video, and I look forward to your comments and anything that you leave for me. I do read those, and thank you so much again for watching, and you have a great day.